Greetings. Welcome to Karen Hope's 15 Minutes of Solid Inspiration, the channel where hope grows, inspiration, y'all. Thank you for being here this evening. So, I'm jumping on the channel a little late this evening. Had a lot of things to do today. But I got a little time right now to jump on the channel to let y'all know that episode 154 of my daily inspirational podcast. Well, at least I try to make it daily. Things happen sometimes. But since July 3rd, 2020, which was July, August, September, October, November, December, 6 months ago, and a 6-month time, 153 podcasts have been produced and published, and they are all available in the podcast platform links down below in the description box. Y'all check them out. Now today, I continued my series on, it's called Effective Listening is Key. Now, key to what? Key to life. That's a is key, ... It's not an incomplete title. It's just fill in the blank type title, Take it how it resonates. That type of thing. But today we talked about, this is our third series. Let me just say that real quickly. This is our third series. First series was Heart versus Mind. Second series was Happiness, Peace, Love, Joy. This is the third series. Effective communication is key. For the first, maybe a little over a week, we talked about effective communication between, like me and you. And, if we're like in mediation or to keep the peace or, to calm a situation down. There's always that one person that can calm a situation down, right? One that can bring everything up into a uproar, and there's one person that can always bring it down. Let's try to be that one person that can bring it down. It's always better. We talked about that. And then we also talked about the communication that we have to have between ourselves, our calling, what we have to talk to ourselves about, what we have to say to ourselves, what we have to convince ourselves of, which is what God says about us, which is we are salt and light and we are victorious. Those things are already put in place for us. There's no doubt. God's word does not come back void. He tells the truth. He is the truth. So that right there just tells us, it's all good. But we have this conflict, and we have we have conflict and resistance. It happens because of the flesh, because of pleasure and all those other things. But there's also pleasure in the, just being spiritual. There's freedom in that. There's a lot of restrictions and a lot of these we put a lot of limitations and restrictions on ourselves because of what we convince ourselves of, which is more than likely a big lie. We think it's a truth, but it's a lie. Okay, let's just keep moving forward. Today, we got off that, we're on part 8. So we just stopped talking about, effectively communicating our calling. And I just decided maybe we could talk about it again. I've got about a week worth of notes for that one topic. Today we started talking about miscommunication. When we're not communicating effectively or properly, what does it look like? What is it called? It's called miscommunication. And we talked about how miscommunication can really, mess up your day. It's always, miscommunication is always anchored in some kind of fear. And where fear is, love can't, work. And where love can't work, which is God, wherever love is, God is there. God is the cause. God is the source. So if there's fear, there's no love in that. And more than likely, that is the cause, the source, and the reason for our miscommunications, right? And, so we talked about how to avoid it. And how to, if, we so happen to run across a little bit of, a few issues dealing with miscommunication. We can easily rectify the situation, and we can easily come to an understanding with some compromise and more than likely an adequate amount of compassion. And we just, get things fixed. So that's what we talked about. So I'm not going to talk about that in its entirety, y'all, because there was, just listen to it down in the podcast platform link. And after you listen to that one, you have so many more to listen to. Okay, y'all, check it out. Okay, also, today's blog has been published and is available down in the GoDaddy links down below in the description box. You can also hit my Facebook link too, and it will be there. It'll direct you to the blog. I also try to write that daily, and it's usually on the same lines of the podcast, the podcast for the day. Jeez, it's been one of those days. Yeah, it's usually the same theme, but it's never the same thing. So check that out, okay? Yes. Now, I would like to, before we completely close out this video, I want to talk about something real quick, okay? So I can be of a little bit of encouragement for me and for you, okay? Sometimes we have to hear ourselves say this stuff out loud. So why not, while we're talking, telling ourselves how to remain positive when it's quite challenging at times, we can, be communicating it at the same time. Why not, right? Okay, so let's talk about this. I'm going to continue to talk about this effective communication, or I guess miscommunication. Y'all, it's something very important that we need to remember when it comes to this communication thing. Now, first and foremost, what is communication for? Communication is it's exactly where all of our bonds are formed, and relationships and friendships are formed or either broken, right? That's what communication does. And we have to understand that we have a responsibility when it comes to communication. It's not meant to be abused. It's not meant to be taken lightly. It's very serious stuff. And there are people who I've noticed as I've grown up and started to really learn people, when I started forming bonds and breaking bonds, letting them go. There are people that really don't want to do the work when it comes to communication, because what it takes is looking at ourselves in the mirror, realizing who we are. We have to know what type of person we are before we start talking to people. If we just have to know. We can't be fake, is what I'm trying to say. We have to know who we are. That's the only way not to be hypocritical. That's the only way not to be a storyteller. We're not little kids. I'll just say a liar. I say storyteller right now because I'm still raising young children. My kids are 11 and 15, and I try to help them with their words. But right now, we're just going to be serious about it. And we're not going to say a storyteller. We're going to say a flat-out liar. We need to understand that these words that we say are, again, what we use to form bonds. That's what life is about. No man is an island. Life comes in pairs, There are couples that we're just not meant to be alone. So to be able to live together peacefully, we need to be able to talk to each other peacefully. And that's the way naturally we're supposed to do it. That's what we're supposed to do right off the bat. It can't be anything different. That is what effective, and proper communication is. Now, imagine this. Just imagine this. Our words are like they're like our children. Um, we give birth to them. We nurture our words and behavior. Also, we're going to talk about communication because we have body language. So that's a whole different subject. But we talk to each other. We need to be talking to each other, and we communicate these things. We communicate with each other to form these bonds and to form these friendships, and we do it with words and behavior that we give birth to, that we nurture and feed. So guess what? The things we nurture and feed, the things that belong to us, the things that we birth, the things that consider us home, come back. Words and our behavior, our communication has a job, it has an assignment. Just like truth, it has an assignment. Just like we do, we have an assignment, and there's a cycle to it. And when it comes to communication, what we communicate or miscommunicate will come back home. It'll always come back. So we need to be responsible and take care of the things and pay very close attention to the things that we say. We can't take it lightly. We can't think that, oh, I communicate. Like there are people that say, oh, I'm like this. I act rude like this. I'm feisty like this, or whatever they say. Whatever it is. People will use their ethnicity. People will use their gender. People will use their creed, their religion, their whatever, to be rude and to say whatever they want and not take care of what they're communicating to other people. They're only trying to get something off their chest and they're thinking that it feels good. Yeah, it may feel good, but that thing, that behavior, that communication, miscommunication that wasn't taken care of, there was no responsibility taken for it. It goes out into the world. It does whatever it does. It works its magic. It brings its depression. It makes people angry. It sends people reeling. It may not even do any of that. It may fall upon deaf ears or a deaf heart or a hardened heart or someone that can brush it off. It does its work. It plays around. But when it comes to the end of what it does, it comes back like in this way. Okay, and then we'll drop it. I'm being dramatic right now, but the visualizations are necessary to understand how important it is for us to communicate things to people when building bonds and friendships and relationships and breaking them. Toxic bonds need to be broken. It needs to be done with effective communication. It can't be done with miscommunication. It's still the same thing. It still causes the same problems, if not worse. So, imagine this. You are 87 years old, okay? In a rest home. Maybe a rest home. Maybe at home. We'll say at home because a rest home has assistants. I'm trying to make a point here. You're at home, you're 87 years old. You have been so rude, so crass, so hard-hearted, and so just not really selfish, not really worried about what you've said to people during your lifetime. And you're at a point where you just want a glass of water. And all through your life, there are people that have just asked simple requests from you. May I have a hug? May I please have some silence? May you please just give me a chance? Can you let me talk? Or something. Something that's simple, but something that's very, very important. And you're that person that never, ever did. Okay? All those get your own, all that I've got mine, you get yours, all that I don't care about you, I only care about me, comes back home just when you want a glass of water. And people will remind you that you weren't very kind. And they don't care either. They don't care about your glass of water. That's not what you want to do. We don't want to go through life. We reap what we sow. So this miscommunication, and proper communication, or effective communication, it comes back. So we need to try our best, do our best. Pay attention to how we're feeling when we communicate, because it ends up in miscommunication. Arguments, conflict, resistance, friction ends up in miscommunication when we cannot, effectively communicate, which means listening. We can't forget about the listening. Sometimes people do just need to get things off their chest. It's not that they're talking to you. It's just be the person that's trustworthy. Be the person who is honestly and genuinely interested in them just getting it off their chest, because a lot of times we just need to hear ourselves. And talking to someone we can trust, and talking to someone who just listens. It's so effective, and it's definitely proper. So y'all, remember, okay? Be responsible for your communication, because if not, it ends up being miscommunication. And any miscommunication of any kind, when it comes to building our relationships, or y'all, even breaking them, or communication to build them, miscommunication to break them. The same thing with toxic relationships and bonds. Having effective communication to break them, and also, and then miscommunication to make them worse. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. I kind of got thrown off center there, but you know what I'm trying to say. Let's be responsible, because that stuff is going to come back. And we want our words. We want our communication. We don't want any of that miscommunication, because if there is miscommunication, we have every opportunity to fix it right away. No, there's no pride in that. Just fix it, because it comes back, okay? Y'all, okay, we're done for the evening. I could talk about that all night. Let's just wrap this video up, and we'll be back tomorrow on the channel to exchange some more awesome energy. But if I just want to quickly say, if you are supporting the podcast monthly, thank you so very much. You inspire me, you motivate me, you encourage me. I will keep going, because you make it all worth it. For those who are considering supporting the podcast, I thank you in advance as well. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching the video and like this video, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel where hope grows inspiration. Okay? Again, see you tomorrow, y'all. God bless you and yours. And y'all have a great evening, and see you again tomorrow on the channel.